Hi, my name is Jesseline, and this is going to be a video about reducing fractions and equivalent fractions. So first of all, we're going to work on how to create an equivalent fraction. So an equivalent fraction means that if I had pizza and they were the same pizza, or two different pizzas, sorry, and one was split into 8 pieces and one was split into 4 pieces, and I ate 4/8 of one and 2/4 of the other, I'm technically eating the same amount of pizza. Although different fractions, they're equivalent, okay? So if I have a fraction, let's say 1/3, and I want to make an equivalent fraction to this, all I have to do is either multiply or divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Here, since it's 1/3 and dividing 1 by anything is gonna leave it to be a decimal, let's just choose a number and multiply both of the numerator and denominator. Let's choose 4. So I'm gonna multiply the numerator by 4, and I'm gonna multiply the denominator by 4. And I'm going to get 4/12. So 1/3 and 4/12 are what you call equivalent fractions. They're equal. If I eat one slice of a pizza split into 3 pieces, or if I eat 4 slices of a pizza split into 12 pieces, I'm eating the exact same amount of pizza. My pieces are just a little smaller here, so that's why I'm eating 4 pieces, okay, because they're split into 12, okay? But I can do this with anything. So let's make an equivalent fraction by, make an equivalent fraction 2/5. Let's choose a number. Let's say 7. I'm going to multiply both of them by 7. 2 times 7 is 14, and 5 times 7 is 35. So 2/5 and 14 35ths are the exact same fraction. They're equivalent. They represent the exact same pieces of the pie. So if I eat 2 out of 5 pieces or 14 out of 35 pieces, then I'm eating the exact same, okay? So now let's talk about reducing. Reducing fractions means that we are dividing the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So technically, when we're reducing fractions, we're creating that equivalent fraction because, like I said before, you can either multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number or you can divide. But reducing means that we make it smaller. So that means we're going to divide. Let's take 6/12 for a 6/12. So here, again, you're going to have to really understand your multiplication, okay? Because you need to know the factors of 6 and you need to know the factors of 12. So factors are numbers that you multiply together that give you that number. So some factors of 6 are 1 and 6, because 1 times 6 is 6, 2 and 3, and I think those are all the factors of 6. 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6 as well. And then you're going to have to know the factors of 12. So 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12, and those are all the factors of 12. So again, knowing your multiplication, guys, is very important. Study that hard. So after you know the factors, you look for the greatest common factor. So in this case, I see that 6 is in both of them. I have a 6 here, and I have a 6 here. So I can take the 6 and divide my fraction, my numerator and my denominator, both by 6, because I'm going to divide it by the greatest common factor. Now, if you don't divide it by the greatest common factor the first time, you can continue to reduce it till you get down to where they only have 1 in common as their factor. Okay, once they have just 1 in common as their factor, you know it's reduced. So, well, 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So we have a reduced fraction right here. 6/12 can reduce down to 1/2, okay? And that's how we reduce fractions. Let's do one more. And hopefully you'll not have to write down the factors eventually. So 12/36. So for me, I'm not going to write down the factors. I'm just going to think to myself and be like, what is a factor of both of them? Oh, 4. 4 is a factor of both of them. I know because 4 times 3 is 12 and 4 times 9 is 36. So I can divide them both by 4. So this is another way to approach it. If you don't know the greatest common factor, just start dividing by a factor, by a common factor. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So now I have 3 9ths. Well, to myself, I am like, hey, they still have a factor that's in common because 1 times 3 is 3 and 3 times 3 is 9. So they still have 3 as a common factor. So now I'm going to divide them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we have 1/3. Again, knowing your multiplication is key here, okay? So 12/36 will reduce, or simplified, if you want to hear that word, simplified, all the way to 1/3, okay? Again, knowing your multiplication is key. If you can't remember your multiplication, you're going to have to use a multiplication chart to list all the factors. So in case, like 12, all the factors of 12, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. And then all the factors of 36, 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, I think that's it, 6 times 6. And so you're going to have to list all the factors. And then you're going to have to say, well, what do they have in common? I see that they have a 6 in common. Oh, but look here. I see that they have a 12 in common. And that's the greatest common factor. So 12 over 36, if we divide them both by 12, you get that 1/3. But again, if you don't know your multiplication, you're going to have to, off the top of your head, and just know that 12 and 36 can both be divided by 4. You're going to have to list your factors and find the common factor. And even if you don't divide it by the greatest common factor, that's fine. You just have to do it in more than one step. Okay? Thank you.